The Northman. If you've seen the trailer, you know that it's a pretty simple revenge story where a boy sees his dad get killed and he wants revenge on the man who did it and to save his mom. I enjoyed it, but I definitely don't think it's for a broad audience or the mainstream audience. I want to talk about what I liked first. I liked just having a simple, violent movie where the men are men, the dads are good dads. It reminds me of the 90s when you had simple plots that were done well. A movie like The Predator, for example, where you just have a bunch of giant dudes in the jungle with big-ass guns trying to kill a big-ass monster. And this was a simple movie in that same vein. So Alexander Skarsgard was good. He was in ridiculous shape again. Nicole Kidman was good, who plays his mother. Anya Taylor-Joy from Queen's Gambit was good as Olga. Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe only had a little bit of screen time, but they were good as well. I like the relationship between Ethan Hawke and his son. Always nice to see a good father-son relationship in a movie. I really like the themes of the movie. I don't want to give too much away because it's going to be spoiler-free, but the main theme of the movie is really a negative commentary on violence and what violence results in the long run. And there's also some great commentary on the ability of women to sort of subdue this negative aspect of men, or to provoke it and fuel it, or become a victim of it. So all that stuff I really enjoyed. I really liked the action scenes. They were mostly grounded, and the blows sound really heavy, and they didn't shy away from trying to make it realistic for how brutal it was back then. And they didn't really sugarcoat how brutal the Vikings were as a whole either. And they did it in a way that I didn't think would glorify it, which is, obviously a good thing when it comes to that kind of violence that you're showing. So I want to get into some things that I think might make it not appeal to as many people as it could have. I think it would appeal to a lot of young men. I'm not sure if it would appeal to all men because of how rough the violence is to watch. I enjoyed that aspect and, appreciated the brutality and that it wasn't portrayed positively, but there was definitely some hard parts to watch, and that kind of thing isn't for everyone. But I think the biggest thing that would turn off normal audiences is the pace. It was a bit of a slow burn. The movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and the previews make it look like a simple revenge story, which you don't really need a simple revenge story to be 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And there's only one plot thread. It's not like there's a bunch of side stories and side characters that we really get involved with. You follow Alexander Skarsgard almost the entire time throughout the whole movie. So they did like a lot of these singing scenes and hallucinations and sort of an exploration of the religion of the Vikings. And it's all interesting, but I don't know if we needed all of those scenes because there's multiple. And I don't know if they needed to be as long as they were. Like, I feel like if this movie had just been trimmed down a little bit in those areas, you probably could have gotten it down more into like the 1 hour and 45 minute range, and it would have felt like a pretty intense non-stop movie instead of a little bit more of a drawn out revenge movie. They take their time with the action scenes too. You get these long 2, 3, 4 minute cuts, where the camera just stays on one person the whole time, and all that stuff was great, but it just felt like it was longer than it needed to be for how simple of a movie it was. And there was also a completely unnecessary action scene in the middle of the movie that definitely could have been cut out. And I think it was just stuck there so the movie didn't feel like it had a huge gap in action from beginning to end, from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, with no action. And I don't know if it was added after the fact, like when they watched it and realized that or what, but it was the worst action scene of the movie, I would say, and it was very clumsily done. I did not enjoy that part at all, but the rest of the action I enjoyed. And I also mentioned there was this mystical component or this magic component, and I think that might turn off a lot of normal people. I don't know, it's hard to say because if I had known about the magic going into it, I wouldn't have been surprised, but I had no idea that that was a part of this movie. And they spend quite a bit of time on this magic stuff throughout the movie with these visions and hallucinations, and they're pretty important to the story. It just kind of felt unnecessary to me because you get this really weird contrast where you have like these magical witches and stuff, and then these really grounded Vikings and grounded fight scenes where they're really brutal and you can like really hear the sounds and the hits and stuff. So that was an odd choice to me that I think it didn't ruin the movie, but I don't know if it was needed, and I'm not sure if that would appeal to most people. But overall, if you're into just simple revenge movies and dudes being dudes and good action scenes and good violence, if you don't mind it being on the slow side, I would definitely recommend it. But you should definitely know that going in, because I was expecting something different, which isn't the fault of the movie. It's just how they advertised it. But, it's got a lot of good actors, good action, good direction, good cinematics. I thought it did a good job of portraying what it was like to live in these times and how rough it really was. So yeah, that's it for this. I would go see it if you're not busy. Check it out. All right, see it.